Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another video from Keobastein. It has been a minute. I'm Sam, my fighting game connoisseur, and I'm going to try to take ownership of that name. Still not in the point of doing reviews yet, but I can at least still talk about what's happening with current fighting games to some extent. Well, we won't be talking about current fighting games, more so we'll be talking about what had taken place at EVO, and this definitely is not a full-on EVO breakdown, but at least from the things I either got from the rumblings from either FGC X or Twitter. FGC S did not sound right. FGC Twitter or social, it's social media. Let me say social media, the discourse, and the actual official announcements that game developers have made and whatnot. So let's go ahead and get over it. Let's get over it. Alright, so EVO 2025. This is the main EVO. We actually have a few other EVOs still coming up. Like there was EVO Japan earlier this year, as well as this was EVO in Las Vegas, or I guess EVO USA. And we still have another EVO coming up in EVO France, which I think is going to take place next month. But before we get on to EVO France, let's look at what we have on screen. So these were the games that were available on EVO. We have the usual suspects such as Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear Strive. Like the games are like kind of basically, I guess some people call it the big three. I think that's some people will call it. I don't think there really is a big four with Mortal Kombat 1, or at least that is a discussion that maybe can be discussed and whatnot. But then we got like the I think they call this, like they usually have 2, 4, 6, 8. They usually have 8 game lineup. Like that's what EVO normally does. However, I think starting this year, EVO has started to have a lot more side games that were official part of the lineup. Like there have always been side games, but they were kind of like community driven, run, not like necessarily either supported by EVO, but they at least allow people to do something. But now this is like the extended lineup that's like being official of EVO, saying, yeah, we're helping supporting these games and whatnot. Like, you know, we're going to give them some resource and give them a platform and whatnot and everything. But back to the main games, usually there was always like the big three: Street Fighter, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear Strive. These people have had a very good attendance of being part of EVO for the most part every single time. Mortal Kombat 1, normally, yes, they're kind of in that conversation and whatnot. Gravity vs. Rising, I think this is this game's second year at EVO. And Under the Ember Celeste, I'm pretty confident this is this game's second year at EVO as well, and whatnot. And for Fate of Furious Shield of the Wolves, this is this game's first EVO since the game just released this year and whatnot. And then they always do, let's say, a classic game, like something that just, you know, from a bygone era, if you will, and whatnot. And that this time it was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I think that's even the case the previous time and whatnot. So, you know, a repeat. Actually, no. Either it was this or it was Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. I think it might have been Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, so I may be wrong in that regards. I had to review that and whatnot. Some people are hoping that next year Capcom vs. 2 will be upgraded to a main game for next year. But I'm kind of in the camp of some people say that, can we have a non-Capcom classic game? I mean, to be fair, EVO has always kind of been on a very Capcom bias. I mean, after all, Street Fighter 6 is also the biggest entry game of every single EVO almost. I think there might be one point where Tekken may have overshoot it. Maybe even Guilty. I don't think Guilty Gear, but yeah, Street Fighter has always kind of let's say overshoot, but let's just say been the main limelight for the fighting game and whatnot. So to have like, I think they did like several classic games. It was either Street Fighter 2 Turbo, like I think, yeah, 2023 I believe was Street Fighter 3rd Strike. Last year was Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and now this year also Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So hopefully we'll get a non-Capcom fighting game for the classics, but I'm not holding my breath on that. But the extended game lineup, they had a good spread. One, we actually have a platform fighter returning because Smash Bros. Has no longer been basically a lot of Evo since both Nintendo has basically said they don't want to happen, as well as Smash Bros. Melee or Ultimate. Usually they kind of just do their own thing as well. Oh, actually, nothing. Also, because Evo is essentially owned by Sony, so not really. It's not really, let's say, wise to have your competitors on your main stage, if you will. So I can at least sort of understand that. But yeah, we have Platform Fighter and Rivals of Aether, a bona fide 3D, well, another 3D fighting game, Virtual Fighter Revo. Kingdom Hearts 15. This is a game that basically went out to pasture. It was kind of expected when Fate of Fury City of the Wolves was going to come around. Less so, not because they're the same game, but they're from the same developer. And, well, basically, they ended support for Kingdom Hearts 15, and they now moved on to Fate of Fury and whatnot. Blaze Blue, a very actually old game. Actually, one I kind of usually prefer over Guilty Gear, personally. But, yeah. And then there's Killer Instinct. Usually has a very strong staying power with CEO. Usually that's its main. That's a CEO? Combo Breaker. Let me say Combo Breaker. Yeah, Combo Breaker. Usually have a stronger presence of Combo Breaker. That's like their main I guess, tournament. But it's great to see that they were brought on for EVO 2025. Samurai Showdown. This is a very particularly old game. It's nice to see that this game is having its either second or third wind and whatnot. Like, this is the thing that I like so far about SNK. I think we can say that this is the same thing with maybe Our Sister Work, because they do have Guilty Gear, Under Night Embers, Blaze Blue, and Esther here. So SNK is not the only one that was like pushing the old titles, but but one thing I can really say is there's like a lot of distinctness between SNK fighting games. Like Fate of Fury is one-on-one, probably the closest thing to a modern fighting game, if you will. Kingdom Hearts 15 is very much its own thing with this team format, but that's like still one-on-one in the sense. And Samurai Showdown is just completely different from all the other games with its more methodical, slower pace, barely any combo game plan and whatnot. So that's like a really cool spread and whatnot. While Guilty Gear, Under Night Embers, and Blaze Blue, like you could all look, and Enter, like if you look at all your games in the vacuum, you'll almost say that they all look the same, besides having somewhat different aesthetic in a sense. But then Rev 2, definitely a game I prefer to participate over Guilty Gear Strive. So, well, it's more mechanically dense and characters feel more interesting. My issue with Guilty Gear Strive is, besides being less mechanically dense, it is very, like, they took the snowballing to the extreme on this game. While Rev 2, is it Rev or S? Anyway, it's a snowballing game, but this is like, alright, this is at least 60% snowballing. I'm not even gonna say 60%. Let's say 50. Alright, 60% snowballing. This game is roughly 85% or 90% snowballing. Like, when you kind of lose your first interaction, it kind of feels like you're consistently losing and whatnot. But they say they are going to try to address that, because they're but in fact that means I guess we're going to go to announcement, but before announcement. And then Capcom vs SNK 2, a game that a lot of people adore, but not really the case for me. I mean, it exists. I like that it gave SNK characters more of a forefront. It does have some great music. I won't take that away. Alright, the gameplay is not great, but once you realize what the meta becomes, it's less of an enticing thing. Same thing with Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Like, both of these games initially look very nice and pleasing with all these characters and all these options, but then when you get to the meta level, those options become severely diminished and whatnot. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 if you're not fighting against the god, so if you're not using your team based off the top 10, you're pretty much losing. Keobastein too. If you're there's like you get 6 different grooves, but almost only 2 of them matters. All the others don't really matter in the grand scheme. Like, yeah, you could probably play with a bit more different characters in Keobastein 2, but if you're not using A groove or K groove, so that's how you can mess with C groove if you want to be special, then you're kind of handicapping yourself. And I'm just so much not a fan of those games operating in that format and whatnot. But yeah, this is the Evo lineup, and I didn't really watch a lot of it. But I got to see bits and pieces of it and whatnot. But I didn't really stay tuned for Street Fighter 6 because I don't really care for that. Same thing for Tekken 8 or Guilty Gear Strive. I did gleam at Grand Blue vs. Rising, but the truth was I was looking to see was anybody going to play Henry on stream and whatnot, or even get at least top 20 with Henry. And as far as I understand, no, it is the usual suspects of the let's say Grimlier, definitely present. I think Vasaraga was definitely around there. Vasaraga, Versusius. I have to look at the character showcase, but I'm pretty confident it was the usual suspect of either that be like the top 5 that would consist of Catalina, Versusia, probably Vasaraga, probably I know there's another character now I'm not thinking of at the moment. Disappointingly, I can't remember. But let's just say Henry definitely was not present, so that was kind of disappointing. And Under Night In-Birth, I cannot say what. I should be far more into the game. Maybe I need to start playing more. I'm not sure if it's a game that's fun watching as a spectator, if I'm going to be frank, I guess. And maybe that's kind of understandable. Like, sometimes you need to get a good grasp of how the game plays before you can start appreciating all the little nuance or thing that's going on and whatnot. And I think since I'm not at that level, it's a little difficult for me to appreciate. But then I also wasn't really sure who I wanted to look out for from people who are playing the game or who are playing the characters and whatnot. Mortal Kombat 1 was a bit more interesting for the most part. Actually, I said Mortal Kombat is actually probably the more interesting matches to have, since there's a lot more diversity in ways to play the game as opposed to the other games, in my opinion. I mean, have I seen Tekken 8 had that better change? I mean, turned out no, but the fact that it seems to be universally despised, by universally at least, a good majority of people despise it, and everybody keeps saying it's overly aggressive, and the fact that Guilty Gear's developers saying, okay, we realize the game is getting too one-sided, we're going to pull that back. I'm not hearing that type of issue with Mortal Kombat 1. Well, at least the issues I'm hearing from Mortal Kombat 1 player base is, oh, we're tired of these current top tier characters and whatnot. I think that'd be Havoc as well as Cyrus and whatnot. But once you kind of step away from those two, you see a lot more diversity in character. I never say diversity character. There's at least diverse ways to win. Oh yeah, Homelander. Yeah, Homelander, T1000. Like, those are the people we are upset with. T1000, Homelander, Cyrus, and Havoc to some extent. But I still saw people timing out matches, because that's something we don't really see in fighting games these days. Enough timeouts and whatnot. Favorite version of the Wolves? There was a lot of Billy Kings. There was a lot of Billy Kings. Making me wonder if I made a bad decision dropping Billy King. But yeah, I had dropped Billy King and now moved on to Vox because I prefer his linear game plan and whatnot. But I didn't get a chance to see all of that. But that's kind of actually the right thing about Evo 2025. Like, I had stream tabs up for it, but I wasn't so much focusing on what they were doing, since because I think I was probably more hoping to hear more of announcements and whatnot, which didn't really come up or at least the announcements that I personally for. Now, what I really wanted to watch was, let's see if I can bring it up. Give me a second. Can I bring it up? Huh. Okay, that's not what I. Huh. Well, really expected this to be a lot more smoother, but I guess not. So, Evo had basically an indie game showcase. I was hoping for these to get streamed, but sadly, not really, which is kind of a disappointment, but it is what it is. Either way, we got some games showcasing, so indie games. I've been accused of just being a person who just love indie games. Maybe so. I'm not sure. I mean, I think I just like different variety of games and whatnot. And the reason I'm more in tune with indie games is because they have a lot more freedom in what they're doing. Now, Mr. MKL or MKL, they're the one that helped like get this up and running and whatnot. And even though I didn't get to see any streams that included them, I heard that a lot of people had a great time with them and whatnot. Combo Devils, apparently it's supposed to be a platform for it that is straight up more dedicated to being a fighting game and whatnot. At least that's what I've been told. They definitely have a UI that makes it look more fighting game oriented and whatnot. Dojo Masters, I actually own this game. Actually, pretty much, I'm kind of fond of it. Wish the playbase was bigger so I can actually get matches more conveniently, but it's neither here. Sorry, but you know they'll hopefully when it does come to other consoles, I think they're going to work on bringing it to other consoles and make it a stronger player base. Actually, also the fighting game, I think that's basically what Fantasy Strike should have been, in my opinion. Don't want to say should have been. I don't know if I really want to say that because that's like saying Fantasy Strike didn't do it. No. Like Fantasy Strike is a great game to kind of start getting people to at least maybe play a competitive game. But I think Dojo Master sees it by having a lot more in-depth mechanics while still keeping some of the spirit of keeping it simple. By simple as in not bloated with system mechanics. I mean, it has a lot of system mechanics. It does have that going on, but I think how they do it with Dojo Master is a bit more intuitive and whatnot. Crossfire Battle Frenzy. I actually been playing this a little bit with the whatchamacallit, the Patreon and whatnot. I do like the art style. I like the character designs and whatnot. One reason I did stick on it was because I haven't really found a character I liked, but not either. Regardless, I do like what I want. I am kind of leaning towards I think the secondary dual antagonist. I think her name is I'm not sure what her name is, but the lady with the kicking Muay Thai lightning and such. Hyper Fight 2 looking pretty good. Yeah, Hyper Fight 2. A sequel to Hyper Fight, which actually disappointed I did not play the game more and whatnot. But one thing I do like about Hyper Fight 2 and one of the things it's doing is the fact that Hyper Fight 2 is putting a little bit more emphasis on ring out. Like they did have its own thing of like managing resources from KOs and other stuff. But now this one seems to be more focused on pushing people to the corner to ring them out, which I think is a cool novelty. I have not played Mega Knockdown, mostly because it was a turn-based. Basically, this is apparently a turn-based fighting game. Looks like turn-based, like turn-based, like Pokemon turn. Like you pick a move, then I pick a move, and whatnot, and it hasn't really caught on to me personally, but I like the novelty of what it's trying to do. So I'm definitely going to keep it in my radar. It is a game you could go grab early access, so I should really try considering that a bit more. Netco Warrior, apparently an indie battle arena fighter, which is, that's a battle arena, yeah, an indie battle arena game. So it does have some interesting art styles and whatnot. I seen a video of it, and animation is kind of rough. I'm just gonna say it's kind of rough, but I do like that we having people who are trying to enter the battle arena genre, especially on the indie side, since most of the ones that are made are done from, say, like Bandai, almost exclusively Bandai Namco, with like the Demon Slayer. Is it Demon Slayer? Is that Bandai Namco or is that the Sega? Peter said Sega was also involved. But mostly Bandai Namco with like Dragon Ball, Sparking Zero, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, like all those particular IPs and whatnot. So I am glad that we're going to have some other battle arenas that's not from, well, the usual people who do it. So I think that's pretty cool. Pipe Puzzle. So puzzle game, I seen the trailer of it, and it looks like it's basically gonna be in the vein of, let's say, like Nicalis Crosses Core, or better example, Capcom's Puzzle Fighter and whatnot. Art style is cute and whatnot. I'm generally not exactly a big puzzle fan, but head-to-head games, it is still my jam and whatnot. Resistance 2040S. This is essentially what Ninhogg 2 wishes it was, and hopefully it kind of keeps going steadily. It does have a pretty interesting aesthetic, and this like the other almost kind of platformy slash like maybe running. That's it. I want to say running. Let's say racing fighting game where one person needs to get to the end of the screen, so you either stop your opponent or you try to make a mad dash to the end of the screen. Played the beta for a bit, pretty interesting, but definitely wanted to see a bit more stuff, or at least maybe some characters before I really kind of sink my teeth into. Royalty Free For All. The art style alone is what really kind of makes me fall in love with it. Like, I love what it's doing with these. Well, I guess, like I said, royalty free. Like, these are all characters that are royalty free. Apparently, this is like Tudo from Dorothy, or rather, this is actually Dorothy who turned into Tudo. That's Mother Goose. I think they say this is supposed to be the vampire Lucifer, and this is Lilith from basically like the character Lilith from, I guess, Bible times or Christian. Is it Christian? Catholic? Regardless, Lilith, I guess. Or, not Eve, if you will. But I am liking the old 90s cartoon design set. It's a platform fighter and whatnot. And they are saying that, you know, we're going to make sure it's really easy. And that's definitely some of the things that I've been having some challenges with platform fighters. Like, I tried to play Nick R-Star Brawl, and while I initially liked it, all the like the in-depth mechanic it was having, it got to the point where I felt that it was too much buttons, and by that point I felt like, okay, I think you went against the spirit that made Smash Bros. Technically like beloved. One thing that made Smash Bros. Considered a beloved, I say party game, but I guess other people say fighting game, is the fact that it was a accessible game. Yes, it's great when even accessible games has depth, but when it gets to a point where the floor is so high to start enjoying the game, I feel it just goes against the spirit of the accessibility and whatnot. Like, I do like the fact that in fact, I said I think Nick on Star Ball may have too many different attacks that just wasn't needed, because they have both normal attacks and strong attacks. Basically, they made smash attacks be its own dedicated button, which maybe initially I would have been for that, because of the fact that it's hard to say. You know, maybe that's a little hard to say. Maybe it's just me still having a hard time learning it, but I'm kind of looking forward to maybe royalty free fall for maybe streamlining some of that, because like Dojo Master does have a lot of mechanics, but it still managed to stay being 2 buttons. So when Nick All-Star Brawl went to like almost 4 or 5 buttons, I'm kind of like, yeah, this is kind of maybe much. But yeah, royalty free. Let's see what they're gonna do with that. Schwartz Bliss, I got, yeah, that's it. I got a 3D fighting game. Hopefully, that's it. Hopefully, I've had limited time with this game. It does have an aesthetic, and admittedly, I have to admit, the aesthetic wasn't my cup of tea, but I can appreciate what they're trying to go for. They're trying to go for like how we have like pixel art style games for you know, like reminiscing of Super Nintendo games. Schwarzblood is trying to reminisce 3D PS1 early polygamy games from PlayStation 1 and N64, where we got 3D polygons, but they're not that detailed to be very, if anything, maybe flattering at times, if you will, and whatnot. I think one thing I did have an issue with the person with the game was, first you had to unlock all the characters, but I think there was a code to make them all be unlocked. But then my second thing was we had command lists, but there was like no info on what the move kind of does, I guess. And I just don't really care for crypticness of games, if that person makes sense. It's just not my thing, personally. Not that it makes Warsaw Blitz bad, but it's definitely why I bounced off of it. Scramble Heart City. Apparently, this is going to be even yet another tag fighter game, because we certainly don't have enough of them these days. But I like the art style so far from what I've seen, and it's going to be a browser-based game, so it's one you can play on your phone. So that is nice. This is done by the same people from Tough Love Arena, a handy game on that side, which I think is neat and whatnot. So yeah. Shot One Fighters. I believe this game was actually going to be a Windjammer game initially, but it seemed like they pivoted to just become a full-on fighting game instead. So, I mean, if that's what they're going to do, I mean, the character designs are still looking strong, so that's nice. So, yeah. Terrordrome is, well, horror-themed fighting game. To be honest, I have seen it across my radar a few times, but I always hated the presentation it had. I mean, I can admit I'm not crazy about the photorealistic, but I was never really crazy about the presentation the game always had. Let's say always had. Like, the combo counter was like, eh. The game's UI was very like, you know, usual stop motion. And then even when I kind of look at the like gameplay, it was definitely bog standard fighting games, but with monsters. And not to say that there shouldn't be derivatives of that type of sphere, but there's Darkstalkers. That's already very flattering looking. And then I'll say there's still Omonosoro, which maybe aesthetically not considered strong, but it had mechanics that were different and interesting, like unique and novel for its own sake. While Terrordrome, I just didn't see that. Like, even looks like Reigns of Legends in an indie fighting game set in a world where characters from horror literature, urban legend, cryptids, and mythology exist within our modern world horror. Modern world, like, it just doesn't sound like it's trying to even sell itself. Maybe that's not fair, because even Shot One Fighter is even. Yeah, so even Shot One is basically not selling itself and whatnot. Now, Shot One is still in development, so maybe I could forgive it that it's still being developed, even then, also very distinct characters. Terradrome has already been out for a minute, unless something has changed. Reigns of Legends. Maybe I need to look up Reigns of Legend and see what are some of the different things, but overall, not really pulling me in. And then there's Umber Core, we learned about for a while, and experience for fighting game enthusiasts and newcomers alike. The fact when I saw the video, it's just a guy doing a long sense of combo. I don't think I really saw much of setup, but Umber Core kind of reminds me of some of my personal issue with current fighting games, where most of them seem to just rely on, look at this combo, look at that combo, and it's like, yes, combo has become part of fighting games, and definitely is somewhat the interesting, but it shouldn't be the only thing that sells you on the game and whatnot. Suddenly on your character, your world, or better yet, other mechanics and whatnot. And from what I understand, most games like Project M, like when I kept seeing Project M, the mod based off Super Smash Brawl, the fact that all I just kept seeing was a combo showcase, it just interests me very quickly. That's your quickest way to make me not really care about your fight game. If I'm just seeing a combo video, because if I want to see a combo video, I could go look at combo video. I'm looking to see if your game interests me and whatnot. So, I mean, Umber Core doesn't have a bad aesthetic from what I've seen, and they did drop the trailer for this character finally, and again, characters are not badly designed, but what makes you unique? Where's your heat? I will say and whatnot. So yeah, let's see how Evo, and then we have announcement from like games. Then we got like announcement for certain games that did let us know some new things are happening and whatnot. Like we got to see the new character for Ground Blue Wilderness, who's already out, and apparently is already causing a stir because he's like very big damage, kind of almost kills everybody in 2 interactions, which is kind of just par for the course for our system works fighting game because they're snowbally. So I'm not surprised that's the case. We got to see Izumi, the new character who's going to come out in Under Night Ember, and not impressed. That's actually kind of the best I can say. Not really impressed for the most part. I mean, you know, say not impressed. I don't hate her assistance, but I'm also not in love with what I'm seeing. I think I'm less interested about Izumi and Ember, and rather what are potential system or balance changes she's going to make and whatnot. Street Fighter 6, apparently, Sagat also came out and is also looking to be quite strong. Like, he brings a lot of lore and I won't say lore. Okay, somewhat lore, but also that's it. I think it is just lore. Yeah. But he brought lore and of course how he plays to the game. Not enough for me to catch interest, but then again, I didn't care for Street Fighter 6. Right now, the character I'm kind of interested in Street Fighter 6 would have been Ingrid, but she's not going to be till near the end of Season 3. So, yeah. Unless they make some sweeping changes to the game's mechanic that makes me want to look its way, probably not going to look at Street Fighter 6 for a good minute. Now, Guilty Gear Strive, admittedly, while I definitely hated Guilty Gear Strive, is hate too strong of a word? Is hate strong of a word? Not really in love, but they have announced that 2 new characters will come out after the new character Lucy, who I was hoping she was maybe going to be something of a footsie, maybe your zoner character. She had wires. She's looking like typical I am a pressure character of some garden variety. At least that's what it looks like. I mean, she hasn't came out yet. and whatnot, but it's looking like that is what she's going to be, which I'm not really surprised because a lot of people will probably pick up Lucy based off just her being a Cyberpunk fan, and normally they will make those type of guest characters very accessible to justify people getting either the season pass or just buying the character outright. But they have announced that they're going to also have Jam Corroborate and Robokai. I will bring up the image, but I'm too lazy, and this video has gone way too. But yeah, they have announced basically 2 more new characters are going to be coming for. I'm not sure if it was a full-on new season, and one of the characters looks to be Robokai. Me being a fan of Robokai might be enough to make me take a peek back after Get to Your Stride. I doubt I'll pick it up, but it might make me take a peek at the game at the very least. And well, actually, Hunter x Hunter did have an exhibition. That's the thing that I watched the most actually at Evo. Hunter x Hunter had an exhibition, and it was enjoyable. I'm actually still learning and grinding Hunter x Hunter, so that, yeah, I did it. And so I think with that, yeah. So that was post Evo. Well, actually, Virtual Firefighter Revo. Well, now they got a world stage that's gonna have cross-platform and everything. So I might be really dipping my toe back into Virtual Fighter proper. Now they're gonna have both crossplay, and it's gonna be available on consoles and whatnot. I did get Revo on my PC like a few weeks ago. Didn't dive into it, but I did got that. And also Mortal Kombat 1, they also have shown some balance change they're going to do for the update, which I'm personally glad for, because I think this Mortal Kombat 1 could turn out to be one of the best version of itself. Maybe close to SL. I know a lot of people like SL, but I mean, I think it's great. I think SL is a great game. But I think Mortal Kombat 1 can certainly succeed if they do a few more support for it, which I am a fan of. I like how they're like, we're done with the game, we're not doing any more content, but we're still willing to address a few more things. They're trying to kind of get the game to a very good, solid state, if you will. So, very much a fan of that. And with that, I think that's going to go ahead and wrap up the video. Thanks again for tuning in, and have a great day.